It's dirty. Yeah, that's not bad at all. All right, what we can do to improve that? Scoot in a little bit. A little bit more. No, this is not professional, you guys. I'm using professional gear and playing amateur. How about that, huh? Yeah. All right, I gotta see what this looks like on a different monitor. Okay then. Where are my dahlias in the basement? I'll take this with me, see what it sounds like. All right.
November 8th, X-Ray, Lima, Quebec, Lenny, Huron City. Lenny Round, NNXLQ YouTube channel is up and monitoring the KAABDW repeater group. Yeah. Call signs still confuse me. N8XLQ.
Call signs still confuse me. It does. Sorry, guys. Go outside. Gotta get a monitor.
Sounds like you need a little bit more of that coffee there, Lenny.
Right on, buddy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think somebody switched the sugar on me to powdered morphine.
That's gotta be.
I hear ya. Have a good night, TPS. some audio. Coming back anyway. WD8PIC. Kilo Echo 8, Echo Romeo November, Jim and Tiffin. No traffic. Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, Bob. WD8PIC. Just had a carrier hit or whatever. Kept the repeater up there. That's what took so long for me to respond. Anyway, I had to check in. Great signal. Sound good coming in on the 440 side. And thank you for the update on all the legs that you hear audio on. So it sounds like they're all working here this morning. Appreciate that, Bob. Anybody else at either of the two Republic repeaters with or without traffic call out? Good morning, Jeff. Alpha Charlie 8 Sierra Bravo. Scott and Finley. I have no traffic.
Oh, that doesn't look too bad.
Good morning, Jeff. Kilo Echo 8, Papa X-Ray, Ron from Southern Wyandotte County. I'd be happy to be your HF liaison to the OSSBN this morning. I have no traffic. Let me get Ron for KEPX. Good morning, Ron. Good to hear you. Good signal. Thanks for being our HF liaison station this morning. Currently, I don't have any traffic listed, but we'll see how we do here as we go along. Good morning, Scott. AC8SB. Got you, Scott. Good signal. And my apologies for there at the beginning. I think there were others that were trying to check in here, and I had a issue going on here, so I didn't get everybody. So, again, anybody on either of the two Republic repeaters, if I missed your call again, this is WD8REI. This is Kilo Echo 8, Echo Romeo November. Jim and Tiffin. No traffic. Good morning, Jeff. Kilo Echo 8, Delta Romeo Romeo. Troy and Willard. No traffic. Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, Jim. KEERN. Good signal, Jim. And we'll be talking to Jim here in a little bit. See what kind of propagation you might have heard at 8 o'clock this morning on the HF band. And good morning, Troy. KE8BRR. Good signal, Troy. Thank you for checking in this morning. Anybody else on either the two Republic repeaters calling out? How about the full repeater? Anybody on the 443.625 repeater with or without traffic calling out? Bravo 8 to Mike Victor Tango, Ethan Nova. Kilo Echo 8, Romeo Whiskey November, time in New London. Morning, Keith. Kilo Bravo 8, Mike Victor Tango, nice signal. Good to hear you this morning. And good morning, Tom. Kilo Echo 8, Romeo Whiskey November, New London. Good signal, Tom. Thank you for checking in. Anyone else on the full repeater with or without traffic calling out? Okay, let's check here. Anybody with formal NTS traffic? Anybody have formal NTS traffic that they would like to get listed here first out calling out? Okay, just want to make sure we get traffic taken care of here at the beginning. Station's on the Mansfield repeater. Anybody on the 443.075 repeater that would like to check in, call out.
Sorry, guys. That's the better.
Okay, stations on on the Berlin Heights repeaters, 146.805, 442.675, or the 6-meter 53.29 machines, with or without traffic, call now.
And AQQ Jim, Los Township.
November 8, X-Ray Lima, Quebec, Lenny, Huron City, Huron, Ohio. Good morning. YouTube's running. Yep, here we go.
Kilo Echo 8, Victor Oscar X-Ray, KE8, VOX Scott, Erie County Mobile. Alright. AQQI, good morning, Jim. Good signal, Jim. Thank you for checking in. Good morning, Lenny. N8XLQ, good signal, Lenny, on the crossband repeater. And Lenny says YouTube is up and running, so check out your signal there when you get a chance. Good morning, Scott. Kilo Echo 8, Victor Oscar X-Ray. Victor Oscar X-Ray. Boy, I couldn't get that X out. Nice signal mobile in Erie County. Thanks for checking in, Scott. Anyone else on either of the 3 Berlin Heights repeaters? Call now.
Whiskey 8 Kilo 5, Claire Collins, no traffic. Morning, Jeff.
Good morning, Claire. W8KF, Collins, Ohio. Good signal, Claire. Anybody else on the any of the 3 Berlin Heights repeaters? Call now. How about anybody on the 443.9875 machine, with or without traffic? Call now.
Balls.
Good morning, Jeff. This is November 8th, Papa Sierra, Parma, Rick. Kilo 8, Charlie, Victor, Mike, K8, Chuck, Parma Heights, Mobile. Got you, Rick. Any PPS in Parma? Nice signal, Rick. Good to hear you this morning. Chuck, K8, Charlie, Victor, Mike, Mobile, Parma Heights. Good signal, Chuck. Good to hear you this morning also. Anyone else on the Illyria repeater? Call now.
Kilo Echo 8, November, Quebec Kilo on an HT. Good morning, no traffic.
Whiskey 8, MSR, Personnetsky. Check me in and out, please. Kilo Delta 8, Tango Oscar, Tom in North Richmond. Alright, good morning, Scott. Kilo Echo 8, Mike Sierra Romeo. Short time in Upper Sandusky. Nice signal, Scott. Thanks for checking in here this morning. And good morning, Tom. Kilo Delta 8, Tango Oscar. Good signal, Tom. Thank you for checking in. Anyone else before we get started?
N8 UAS Mobile. Kilo Echo 8, November, Quebec Kilo on an HT, Pete, North Bridgeville, no traffic. Good morning, sir.
Oh, there you go.
I have November 8 uniform Alpha Sierra mobile. Really good signal. Everybody sounded really good this morning, by the way. Have you checked in? And let me check here. Have you checked in before, or is this the first time on this net? Back to you.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, first time on the net. I'm mobile, just west of Toledo, Ohio, doing the band enhancement. The name is Frank, as in Frankenstein.
That's funny, dude.
Hi, Frank is in Frankenstein. All right. Good, great signal, by the way, from your mobile. Just got a little scratchy there at the end, but 100% copy. I know you're mobile west of Toledo, and you sounded good here this morning into the repeater network. We're going to check and see if you're, I think your number maybe 276 or 277. Jim's going to tell us, and then we always like to ring a bell for anybody that's new on the net. K-E-8-E-R-N. Jim, I'll turn it over to you.
Have N-A-U-A-S, Frank. You are listed as number 276 on our log. And welcome to have you aboard. Just as your bell rang. Back to the net, K-E-A-D-R-N. Asking what frequency is coming in on PIC.
All right, fine business. Thank you, Jim. You ring that bell. You're really ring that bell good this morning. And Bob, I got your comment there, so let's do that. November 8th, and the other station stand by. Keith, I'm gonna get you just a second here. November 8th uniform Alpha Sierra Mobile. What repeater are you coming in on currently? And just tell us just a little bit about what kind of radio you're using and what kind of antenna, and maybe how much power you're running, that kind of thing. If you're still copying, back to you.
Yeah, thanks, sir. Yeah, we're running an old Yaesu 350, STM 350, the big screen radio for the old guys there. Still got that. We're at full power, probably 50 watts, and some type of non-fancy Comet, Diamond, or knockoff dual band Magnum mount. On the work vehicle, heading west towards Waseon, Ohio this morning.
No, that's where I used to live.
And also coming in on the 146805 Berlin Heights machine.
Wow. It's probably about 75 miles.
You covered all the bases there. Thanks for all the information there. Bob was inquiring what repeater you were coming in on. He does a really nice job of kind of keeping track of band conditions and how the repeaters are sounding. And you're sounding really good there near Toledo there on the one coming in on the 146805 repeater. Yep, fine business on the AC rig, about 50 watts, dual band mag mount antenna. Wow. On the company vehicle. I used to do that all the time. All right. Good to hear you, Frank. And again, welcome to that. Again, we're here every Wednesday morning beginning at 10:15 a.m. You're welcome to join us anytime. All right. Next up, I have Keith, Kilo Echo 8, November, Quebec, Kilo in North Ridgeville on an HT. Nice signal, Keith. And are you new to the net, Keith, or have you checked in here before?
No, this time I checked in, and here's Pete, Pop Echo, Tango Echo. And no, I just heard you in there and thought I would just check in, and I have no traffic, and I'll just be on the side listening.
Okay, Keith, your signal's rock solid when you're in there. Just a couple little audio dropouts. I'm not sure why that was, but just a little bit of the first part of what you said. If you wouldn't mind just kind of repeat your transmission, go ahead.
No problem. The correction on the name is Pete. Pop Echo, Tango Echo, not Keith. Pete. Pop Echo, Tango Echo. But I am a first-time check-in, so I'm just going to be sitting back like a little church mouse in the corner listening this morning.
All right. Well, good morning, Pete. And I got your name right now. I'm glad I asked that because I just kind of missed it and didn't get it right in the beginning. And welcome to the net. I'm going to turn it over to Jim here. He's going to ring a bell for you. You're the 277th different call sign that's checked into this net over the last 5.5 years. So welcome to the net. KERN with Jim. And nonetheless, welcome to the net this morning, Pete. Great signal from your HT there in North Ridgeville, and good to have you aboard. All right, anyone else, anywhere, with or without traffic, call now.
Whiskey Hotel 2 uniforms, John. West of Oberlin.
John, Whiskey Hotel 2 uniform, just west of Oberlin. Nice signal, John. Good to hear you this morning. Anyone else?
KE8YUG Kilo Echo 8 Yankee Uniform Golf, Josh and Avon Lake. No traffic. Good morning.
John, I double with you. Give me your ending in uniform golf. Give me your call sign again.
That's no problem. I was trying to wait, for the repeater to click and everything. So I probably get jumbled up in there. But it's Josh, Juliet Oscar Sierra Hotel, Josh in Avon Lake, and it's KE8YUG Kilo Echo 8 Yankee Uniform Golf.
All right, I got you, Josh. Kilo Echo 8 Yankee uniform golf. Good signal, too, by the way. Real good signal in Avon Lake. Thank you for checking in this morning. Anyone else? Let's get going here, and we'll pause again as we go along in case we missed someone or others who would like to check in. So let's take a look at the WWV report here this morning. The solar terrestrial indices for August 22nd, yesterday's date, the solar flux 151, and the estimated planetary A index was 8. The estimated planetary K index at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on today's date, August 23rd, was 0.67. So pretty quiet geomagnetic conditions. Space weather for the past 24 hours has been minor. Radio blackouts reaching the R1 level occurred wherever at that time on the sunlit side of the Earth that would have happened. No space weather storms are predicted for the next 24 hours. So let's see what we got here. Looking at space weather. Sunspot AR3405 didn't look like it was going to explode. However, it did on August 22nd, yesterday, right around, must have been 5 minutes after 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time yesterday evening. NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory recorded the extreme ultraviolet flash from an M1.1 class solar flare. So we had a small M1 class solar flare. Again, that would have been yesterday evening. Now, right now we're in a kind of some solar wind. It's up a little bit above our 350. We're up about 430 kilometers per second, so we got a little bit of solar wind here this morning. Sunspot number is 96, a little less than what it has been, but there's still the sun spotted with lots of sunspots, so lots of things can happen there. So again, we would like to keep an eye on that. Take a look at our ionogram here this morning, and then we'll check with Jim and see what his band conditions were like at 8 o'clock this morning. So first out here, looking at the ionogram generated from the ionoson in Alpena, Michigan, about 200 miles to our north-northwest. So this isn't exactly what we might be experiencing, but usually follows pretty close. And so right now, I only see an F2 layer, even though it's already been divided into F1 and F2. I can only see the F2 layer. It's at a height of about 240 kilometers, so lower than what it usually is. The critical frequency of the F2 layer right now is 8.050 megahertz. So, and the IS conditions on the 40-meter band would probably be pretty decent. I even see a second local echo in there, so the D layer absorption hasn't been extremely high yet, although it's starting to build up. Taking a look at like the 75 and 80 meter band, I just see the first echo there, so already signals are being absorbed for high angle radiation, like NVIS. That's why I always bring that up. And so there is a viewable E layer. Talk about the E layer. It's right about 90 kilometers high, and it has its own critical frequency. And the critical frequency of the E layer at the moment is 3.38 megahertz. Now, the one we always like to watch here is the MUF, the maximum usable frequency. That's the one you want to pick, something close to it, to operate on to get the furthest distance on the first hop. And right now, the MUF is high. It's at 27.3 megahertz.
Every time he says muff, I can chuckle.
So definitely 15, 20, the bands in between. Not quite, haven't quite made it to 10 meters yet, but we'll see how it goes. Let's take a look at the ionogram this morning at 8 o'clock when Jim was listening. And so at 8 o'clock this morning, the maximum usable frequency was 18.8 megahertz. So on those high HF DX beacons that Jim listens to at that time of the morning, they're located all over the world, and they cover 20, 17, 15, 12, and 10 meters. Let's see, if we had a MUF of 18.8, Jim probably heard beacons on 20, probably heard them on 17 meters, and let's see, I guess that would be it. You probably wouldn't have heard anything on 15, 12, and 10. If you would have, they would have been probably pretty noisy and pretty weak. But we'll check with him here in a second, and we'll also see what his noise floor is like on 75 and 40 meters. So that being said, let's turn it over to Jim, K-E-R-N. Jim, what you got for us report-wise on HFDX beacons early this morning at 8 a.m.? Over to you.
Yeah, Jeff, this was not a good morning for beacons. On 20 meters, I had 9 beacons that I heard, but they were very, very weak. And there was a lot of noise on the higher frequencies. Like 17 meters, I had an S2 to an S5 noise level. And all the way up to 10 meters, I had an S7 noise level. So it was very noisy out there. It was like a muffled bacon frying noise. And that's the first time I've ever noticed anything like that. And let's see, on 40 meters, it was S0 all through the band. And 80 meters, it was an S9 on the lower end and S5 to S7 on the high end. Anyway, back to you, KEADRN.
Hey, Jim. Well, it kind of looks like it follows pretty good there, the maximum usable frequency being 18.8 megahertz. And obviously you did hear quite a few beacons on 20, be it that they were noisy. So yeah, it's hard to say what that noise would have been caused by. If it wasn't, thunderstorm kind of noise, which I'm sure it wasn't aware of any thunderstorms early in the morning. Those can cause, of course, noise on the HF bands. I didn't see any solar flares at 8 o'clock this morning. Like we mentioned earlier, the last solar flare, which was an M1, would have been yesterday evening, so it wouldn't have been an issue there either. So it's hard, kind of interesting thing. Maybe some noise generated locally in either your house or the neighborhood or in the area, especially with an S9 for you that to the report?
No, like every other morning when I check on the beacons, it's rather quiet. I couldn't get over how noisy it was. Back to you, KE8DRN.
Yeah, okay, fine business, Jim. Yeah, usually you get that kind of noise, that sort of type of noise on 75 and 40 meters. Not so much on the higher band, like 20, 15, 10, 17, all those. Usually they'll stay fairly quiet. Again, I didn't look at weather conditions to our west to see if there's any thunderstorm activity or anything like that. Of course, that would cause static crashes. But you're describing more of a different kind of noise. So, yeah, interesting. Just kind of keep track of it. And I always try to pin down the things that we might think it could be, but I don't have anything obvious in front of me here that I'm looking at that would cause noise on those higher HF bands this morning. Anybody else got any comments on that?
That's a little jumpier. Ooh.
Control. EPX returning no traffic from the OSSBN.
Ooh, power amp started
Hi,
working.
Ron. Got you back with no traffic. Thanks, Ron, for being our HF liaison here this morning. Appreciate that. Right, we got our HF propagation reports in pretty well. Again, the muff right now.
That's bigger. Boom.
The maximum usable frequency currently right now is at 26.5 megahertz. 26.5 megahertz. So, other than noise that Jim was hearing on those higher bands, y'all might want to take a listen there. So, Dean ought to be open, to our area or close to our area here too, and watch and see. Maybe that muff will climb even higher. Maybe we'll get a 10-meter opening here later today. Hard to say, but we'll watch. 15 should open up. All right. Before we continue, are there any other stations with or without traffic call now? Good morning. Kilo Echo 8, Victor, Julia, Victor, Tom and Nevada, checking in. No traffic. Morning, Tom, KE8, Victor, Juliet, Victor. Nice signal from Nevada. Real good signal. Thanks for checking in, Tom. Anyone else? KC8WH, Lake Republic. No traffic. Morning, Joe. Mike, KC8WH, got you, Mike. Good signal. Anyone else? Sounds pretty quiet. Well, we're going to take a look at our tropospheric ducting forecast here this morning. Before we do, I just was going to comment, for those of you that got an opportunity to be listening on the 2-meter band yesterday morning, maybe between 7 and 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, maybe even earlier than that, had quite a band opening. As a matter of fact, if you had never heard what a real band opening sounds like, Jeff. If you ever doubted that that was had any effect, well, yesterday I think it would have put that to sleep because it was really, really strong. Let's do that right now. I just have a little recording here, and see if we can get it off, get it ready to go here. And I don't know how well it will sound. The audio quality probably won't be very good, but you're going to chance to hear the mixing and maybe some of the distant stations here. So we'll play it here for about a minute or so. WB8REI, this is the North Central Ohio Information Traffic Net. Again, if you didn't get a chance to hear the band opening early yesterday morning, here's a little bit of what it sounded like on our 145.15 repeater. I will hold it there. The recording is pretty rough to copy, probably pretty distorted, but maybe you can hear the various repeaters together making that sound, that warbling sound. And again, if you didn't get a chance to hear the 2-meter opening yesterday morning, you really missed out. That was really something. Unfortunately, I wish our forecast would have went out to that Tuesday. It would have been fun to kind of match that up. The problem is when I do this forecast on Wednesday morning, like this morning here, when I look at it, I look at yesterday's. It shows yesterday's forecast, and then today's forecast, and then it goes out 5 more days. So it just takes me out to Monday. So I never was able to make any kind of forecast based on conditions and to see how we might have matched up. Nonetheless, we did look at it on the maps there, and the forecast is not exact. It's not exact. It shows the really, really concentrated areas, moreover states to our west, like in Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana. Actually, this morning, I'm just looking at the map here right now. Looking at the map here again, the tropospheric ducting map again this morning. Probably be good to be listening if you like to work 2-meter DX, because that big temperature inverted area is still with us over the western states to our west. Pretty strong, as a matter of fact. Especially out into Illinois and states west and up into Wisconsin, even down into Tennessee, Arkansas. And we're talking like very intense conditions. And so I'm going to start to look at the map here and looking at today's date, 11 o'clock this morning. We're not really in that other than marginal to fair conditions. But man, you just go west into Indiana, Illinois, and up into parts of Wisconsin. It's really strong to intense conditions for tropospheric ducting.
Can I make a quick comment? WD8PIC.
Where, man, there's places in Indiana where it's intense, really strong. Northwest Ohio, just kind of in the marginal of fair conditions. But remember, this is a forecast. You know, it can be off by maybe a state, maybe a couple states. And so as the day moves on, as we get more into like about 5 p.m. this afternoon, it begins to look like it moves into west central Ohio where it's strong. tonight, 8 p.m. this evening, where over northern Indiana, you're talking about very intense to extreme conditions for tropospheric ducting and very intense to extreme to states west. It's just a little bit into north central Ohio. Now, as we move into 11 p.m. tonight, it's into west central Ohio, very intense into west central Ohio, and states back to the west. You're talking extreme. So you 2-meter VHF guys might want to be listening if you like to work when the bands are really up. Let's move the clock along here a little bit more. That starts to break up a little bit, but up to 2 a.m. Thursday morning, southwestern Ohio still in strong to very strong conditions. Man, states west are still extreme. And let's see, moving into 8 o'clock, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow morning, Thursday morning. All of Indiana, well, not all of it, but a major portion is still very intense. States to the west into Illinois are still extreme. Ohio, again, kind of just along the western half of Ohio is marginal to fair. But again, you know, experiences show these are forecast maps. So anytime you get states around the border around us with these kind of high conditions for big time propagation, you might want to be listening because these are just forecasts. They're not right on the money. So moving into Thursday at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and usually the afternoon things start to die down, but in northwest Ohio, we have a patch of very strong conditions for tropospheric ducting and strong to high for pretty much the western half of Ohio, and then again going back into Indiana and Illinois, you're getting very strong to intense. I'm going to bump the map along a little quicker here now, but basically we're staying in the moderate to high area now, moving into Thursday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and states west are still extreme and very strong. Going to 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time Friday morning, we're pretty much down to marginal to fair. However, the very southwestern part of Ohio, along the Ohio River, is very intense conditions. That includes southern Indiana, down into Kentucky, so things will probably be pretty active, I would imagine, in the early hours of Friday morning in southwestern Ohio. Then moving on into 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time Friday morning, we're just sitting there at about marginal to fair. There are patches of strong conditions still yet in Kentucky. Most of that temperature version, most of it's moved more to our south and to the northwest. Getting into Friday at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, the northern half of Indiana is under strong to very strong to intense conditions. We're under moderate conditions, moderate to fair for most of northwest Ohio. Let's see, getting into Saturday at the wee hours at 2 a.m. Central Ohio is under strong to very strong conditions. Pretty much just Ohio, surrounding states look to settle down to marginal and fair. Into Friday evening, 8 p.m., we pretty much throttle back down to marginal fair conditions for the most part. There's a patch in southeastern Ohio where conditions are high. So moving on into Saturday fair conditions. States north, though, things start picking up again into the high to strong conditions up into Michigan and over Lake Michigan. And then again, Monday, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is Monday, August the 28th. Again, we're just pretty much in marginal to fair conditions. States to our north in Michigan over Lake Huron and Lake Michigan, things can pick up pretty good. So again, if you're a VHF or UHF person and you got a nice station, well, you're going to want to be listening because things can really start hopping real quick. And again, these are forecasts, so they're not 100% right on the money. The times, the locations can change a little bit. But the big takeaway here is we got these temperature inversions going on, so we're going to see some pretty interesting band conditions. If you experience any of them, let us know. Anybody have any comments on yesterday's band opening or anything they would like to add or comment about with regard to band conditions calling out? Pretty quiet. At this time, are there any other stations that would like to check in? Anybody that would like a signal report call now?
Eden George, temperature is
79.3 degrees.
Alpha Delta 2, Quebec. This is Ryan in North Ridgeville. No traffic.
Good morning, Brian. Alpha Delta 2, Quebec, and North Ridgeville. Nice signal this morning. Thank you. Anyone else?
KC3, QND, Jeannie.
Good morning, Jeannie. Kilo Charlie 3, Quebec, November. Okay, good signal, Jeannie. Thank you for checking in. Anyone else? All right, well, let's take a look at what's happening on the International Space Station here. And we got looks like a lot of school contacts coming up that we should be able to hear in our area. As a matter of fact, one of them's going to be going on here very shortly. I'll talk about it here in just a second. Okay, as always, the radio in the Columbus module, the Kenwood D710GA, is in crossband FM repeat. You transmit on 145.99 with a PL tone of 67, and you listen on 437.800. Now, they're going to be powering off for the progress docking. That will be on August 25th. They'll shut the radios off on August 24th, tomorrow, at about noon. Noon tomorrow they'll have them shut off, and they'll turn them back on again on August 25th. That will be in the wee hours at 3:55 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. REI and the North Central Ohio Information Traffic Net just identifying here. And there's going to be some other off periods for other maintenance going on that's yet to be determined the times. So when we get them, we'll pass them along. Also, with the radio, the Kenwood radio, the service module is currently configured for 145.825 megahertz simplex. That's the APRS packet station. And it will also be shut off August the 24th again at noon and turn back on August the 25th. And that'll be at 3:55 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So work some APRS packet. It's really neat if you've never tried that. Man, it's like having your own private, well, not private, but amateur low Earth orbiting satellite. And man, you see that map light up with all kinds of stations all over the eastern part of the United States. Pretty neat. somebody might want to tune it in while we're talking here on the net. Take a listen and report back into us. Let us know how you heard them. You can do it on an HT. I mean, it may not be the greatest. It could be scratchy and noisy, and it may not last very long, but you should be able to hear the astronauts. Now, you're only going to hear that side. You won't hear the students. But again, that will begin at 11:25, well, 11:24:59 Eastern Standard Time this morning. Tune your radio to 145.800. Open your squelch up there and listen, and you should be able to hear the astronauts. They'll be talking to the STEM for Girls St. John's, Newfoundland, and Labrador, Canada school. It will be. The kids will be talking to the space station via a telebridge, and that's because the footprint of the ISS path will not cover Labrador, Canada, Newfoundland very well, if at all. And so the ham that's going to provide the telebridge connection, he's in Maryland. His call is Kilo 6 Delta Uniform Echo. He's going to provide the telebridge connection. And so we, here in Ohio, Northwest Ohio, North Central Ohio, should be in part of that footprint. It probably won't be great, but you should be able to hear something. So again, anybody that wants to take a listen, maybe give us a report later on in the net why that might be kind of cool. Now there's two or three others coming up. Going to be some others coming up. There's going to be one with a school called the Australian Air League in South Australia, Salisbury, South Australia. Of course, their connection will be via a telebridge, and I think let me make sure I got that one right. Hang on a minute. Excuse me. That one we will not be able to hear. That will not be able to be heard. That'll be heard by a ham over in Italy. Okay, so the next one that we can hear though will be Bowman Middle School in Barkersville, North Carolina. And that'll be direct. The kids will be talking right over the radio via W4 Golf Uniform Zulu's radio connection. That will be on Monday, August 28th. So this Monday coming up, and it will begin at 10:38 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So 10:38 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday, August the 28th. Might want to be listening for the International Space Station School contact. Then there's one more you can mark on your calendar, and that's with Augusta Preparatory Day School in Augusta, Georgia. That'll be another direct connection via radio. K4RGK will be the hand providing the connection for the school, and that will be on Thursday, August 31st. And that will be at 13:51 Universal Coordinated Time. So let's see, what would that be? I guess that would be, what, 7:51, I believe, if I'm saying that right. Excuse me, 8:51 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on August 31st. And we'll double check that one. I believe that's the correct time. And again, that's with the Augusta Preparatory Day School. You should be able to hear them. And that'll be a direct RF link via K4RGK. got you, but not too bad. Kilo 8 for Golf Whiskey in Avon Lake. And Dan, welcome to the net. We're going to check with Jim here, K-E-R-N. He'll check the database, make sure you hadn't checked in before. And if you, in fact, are a first-time checker inner, he's going to ring the bell for you. So let's turn it over to Jim there and see how it looks. K-E-R-N, over to you, Jim. Stand by, once. I did not see a K8AGW, Dan. I am listing you as number 277 in our database. Glad to have you aboard. There, you had your bell rung. Back to the net, K-E-A-D-R-N.
Welcome aboard, Dan.
Thank you, Jim, for doing that, checking the database. Dan, you are officially number 277th different call sign here this morning, and we appreciate you joining us. Tell us, if you would, just a little bit about your station, what kind of radio you're running, maybe what kind of antenna you got, that sort of thing. Back to you. All right, maybe Dan with short time. K8AG. If you're still with us there in Avon Lake, just always like to check with new check-inners, maybe what kind of a radio and antenna you might be using this morning. If you're listening, back to you. All right, well, maybe we'll get some comments from Dan next time around there. Anyway, we added a new one, 277. My goodness, geez, we'll be to 300 before you know it. Jim, thank you very much for double checking that. Appreciate that. Anybody else? Any other stations with or without traffic before we continue calling out? Sounds pretty quiet. All right. Bob is out of pocket here this morning. Dan's not checked in. So the only thing I have to pass along here, Bob sent me an email yesterday morning. He wanted me to pass this along about the Philly Radio Club test sessions here. Oh, let me read it here. It says, "Hi, Jeff. Received an email from the Finley Club about their new Thursday evening testing session this week on August 24th. Bob says it is not listed on the ERRL website yet, so he thought we might want to mention it here on the net this morning. Now, the session will be this Thursday, August 24th at 7 p.m. at the Finley Radio Club Clubhouse. They do allow walk-ins, but contact information is Roger Weath. And Roger's phone number is 419-581-7037. And again, the location is the Finley Radio Club Clubhouse at 1333 West Sandusky Street in Finley, Ohio. So Bob says thanks and best regards, and we thank Bob for passing that along. Have any questions or comments on any that particular test session anyway, call now. All right, well, let's continue here. Let's take a look at the Ohio section swap shop. Lots of stuff up there. I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to list, we'll cover the brand new listing, and then I'm going to just pick the first item in the other listing shop is a Drake L4B amplifier. $600 from a silent key. This gentleman's selling for his widow. It includes the power supply, and from what she says, it has not been used in years. We'll need new capacitors in the power supply. Very clean inside and out. He says he has no idea of the tube conditions. This is north of Columbus. Or if you're interested in the Drake L4B amplifier for $600, contact John at 614-579-0522. I'm going to hit these other ones. I'm just picking the first item in their listings. An ICOM 5100A-D transceiver with all the goodies. Asking $325. And this gentleman has a whole bunch of other stuff listed. Check it out. If you're interested, contact Bud, KD8RGW, at his email address, budkline73. It's BUDKLINE, the number 73, at gmail.com. Also, an ISO ICOM IC242A is wanted. The gentleman's looking for an ICOM IC242A. It's a 440 HT, manufactured back in the late 1990s. If you can help out with that, contact Elizabeth at Kilo Echo 8 Foxtrot Mike Juliet at gmail.com. Also for sale, a Drake L7 linear amp, updated power supply, 2 spare 3500Z power tubes, 220 volts is required. The operator's manual is included. The amp is clean and works fine. Total weight's about 70 pounds, so they prefer pickup in Columbus, Ohio. Cash or bank check only. Buyer pays shipping if necessary. Estimate $1,750. Now, photos are available on request. If you're interested, contact K8NAP at Nick Pittner 9. That's NICKPITTNER, the number 9, at gmail.com. Identifier is WBEREI, the North Central Ohio Information and Traffic Net. Also for sale, an ICOM IC910 all-mode radio. The radio is like new. It has no issues or problems. It's asking $850. If you're interested, contact Jim, Whiskey Alpha 3 Juliet Alpha Tango, at his phone number 330-696-8174. Or you can email him at his call sign, WA3JAT, at AOL.com. Let's see here. This gentleman's got a whole list of stuff here. I'm going to pick the first thing. He's got a Harvey Wells Bandmaster TBS 50. Purchased it in 1952 when he was first licensed. No rust or dings or scratches. Very clean. He's got a copy of the original bill of sale. Gentleman has a whole list of other equipment here, and I don't see the prices listed, so you're going to have to talk to him if you are interested in any of this equipment. Contact Whiskey Mike Delta Mike at yahoo.com, or you can call Jim at 513-364-1454, and he's got quite a list of items here, so check it out. Couple more here for sale. A Kenwood TS940S transceiver with the speaker, $400, and a whole bunch of other equipment. If you're interested, contact Glenn, Alpha Foxtrot 8 Charlie. You can email him at af8c@arrl.net.
That's a little better. A little more definition in the color, not so white.
And let's see, we got a Yaesu 991A, new in the box, never been on the air. Asking $950. Contact S. Harvey. SHARVEY at BlueIslandTech.com. Call sign, by the way, is November 8 Romeo Lima Whiskey, if that helps anybody out. And also for sale, a Yaesu FT 1802M and a whole bunch of other stuff. And if you're interested, Committee has approved changes to the ERRL affiliated club competition. The eligibility circle radius for clubs in the unlimited and medium categories active in the club competition will now increase from 175 to 250 miles. So the local club category radius will remain at 35 miles. Contest club secretaries should revisit their club's eligibility lists and make any necessary updates before the start of the next contest. So again, they increased the unlimited and medium category radio clubs that are in the unlimited and medium categories that are active in club competitions. They increased that range from 175 to 250 miles. So make sure you get with your club secretary and make sure if they need to update that club eligibility list, you have them get that taken care of. Again, if you need more, if you need to look at that again, it's on page 5 of the Ohio Section News. Just a reminder again, the Air Force Marathon, September 16th. Now, this whole event goes from 5 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's really quite an involved event as far as how they're going to keep track of things. I mean, it's really a big deal because of security reasons, things of that nature. The Air Force Marathon will be held on Saturday, September 16th. And you can volunteer by going to their website at usafmarathon.com/volunteer and select volunteer now. And there's a lot to it. So if you would like to help out with that, you can read the information on page 6 of the Ohio Section News. Also, if you're a new ham interested in ham radio and you'd like to see ham radio for the first time, this is kind of a neat activity that you're doing. This event is free. You'll receive literature about how to obtain a ham radio license without knowing Morse code. There'll be a full operating station set up on battery and solar power using different antennas that you can use with direct supervision of an FCC licensed operator. Members of the Southern Ohio Amateur Radio Association in Lawrence County, Ohio will be available to answer all your questions. There are no age restrictions. Everyone is welcome. This is a little out of our area, but still nonetheless, I like to get the word out here. The special event, Let's Talk Ham Radio, will take place at the Patriot Park Picnic Shelter, South Point, Ohio, on the beautiful Ohio Riverbank at the confluence of the Ohio River and the Big Sandy River. So the GPS location is the intersection of Ferry Street and 2nd Street East. The site is handicap accessible, and there is lots of parking. Again, that's going to be Saturday, September 30th, with rain date on Saturday, October 14th. The time is from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And for additional information, you can contact Mike Love, Whiskey Bakery, Yankee Kilo Sierra, at 304-638-7338. Also got an email address, mlove, the number 82, the letter A, at gmail.com. Says don't miss out on a special opportunity to learn how to get a ham radio license. So there you go for somebody that might be listening here that is not a ham, and you might be in that part of Ohio, you might want to check it out. Nice thing these guys are doing. This is WBEREI. This is the North Central Ohio Information and Traffic Net. Wanted to mention here a nice fair that's going to be coming up. I guess this would be in the eastern Ohio area. The 201st Great Geauga County Fairs, August 31st through September 4th. For the gears, the Geauga Emergency Amateur Radio Service organizes a group of volunteers at the Great Geauga County Fair. It's our biggest volunteer event of the year. In 2022, we had 52 volunteers for a total of 1,367 volunteer hours. So they say they perform a number of functions at the fair as described below, but it's also eyes and ears for the on-duty fire department, sheriff's office, perform other miscellaneous tasks to assist the sheriff office, provide surveillance cameras for fair personnel and the sheriff office to monitor traffic, and they provide IP telephone service on the fairgrounds. Hats off to the Geauga Emergency Amateur Radio Service and their involvement with the 201st Great Geauga County Fair this year. Again, that's August 31st through September 1st. Excuse me, August 31st to September 4th. We'll get that right. Yeah, let's identify again. This is WBAREI. This is the North Central Ohio Information and Traffic. Now, a little more information to go. And if you're listening and you'd like to follow along and maybe identify some components on a schematic diagram from a real service manual, just Google Kenwood TS450 service manual, and page down till you find the HF power amplifier. Find that schematic. That's what we're going to be looking at this morning. And if you can identify a component or comment about something with regard to that part of the radio, why, we'll put you on the list for 1 point towards a lotto card.
That's awesome.
Right. Let's see here. Let's take a look. Well, before we do, let's check. Let's see. Anybody else that would like to check in? Anyone that would like a signal report? Anyone with any comments or queries, call it out.
November 8th, Foxtrot Mike Juliet, doing a good job.
W8WWJ, Vermillion, Will.
KE8, VJV with a comment. We got everybody here. Let's see. N8FMJ. Good morning, Tom. Nice signal, Tom. Thanks for checking in, and thanks for a nice comment. And I have, KE Victor, Juliet Victor, Tom, stand by. We'll get your comment here in just a second. And Will, I got you. All I got was the suffix whiskey, Juliet. Give me your full call again, Will.
Will be W8WWJ. Whiskey 8, Whiskey Juliet, Will and Vermillion.
Nice signal from Vermillion. Got it now. Whiskey 8, Whiskey Juliet. Nice signal. Thank you for checking in with us this morning, Will. Nice to have you aboard here. And have you checked in before, Will?
Yes, I have. I try to check in time to time.
Very good. Just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing the new call sign. All right. Anyone else before we go over to Tom to get a comment?
College, I think you listen to the school just a little bit and then I lost them.
All right. Jim gave us a report there on the school contact, and caught a little bit of it, sounds like, and then he lost it. Yeah, we didn't think it was going to be a very good footprint for us, but I figured you should be able to hear him. So Jim confirmed that, so thank you, Jim. Appreciate that. Let me go over to Tom here a minute. Maybe Tom's got some info on that as well. KEDJV. Tom, what do you got?
Yeah, Jeff, I was just going to comment on the school with the ISS. I do have a loud copy on the astronaut, but nothing from the school. So it's basically a one-sided conversation, but I do have the astronaut coming in loud and clear. Matter of fact, here he is real quick. And when I key up, I'm losing him. So, but I do have the astronaut coming in loud and clear. KE8 VJ.
Yeah, you're only going to hear one half. The way those school contacts go is I believe the ISF, they transmit on 145-800, and then the school transmits on a UHF frequency. They direct it with a Yagi, high directional Yagi, right towards the ISF. And usually those antennas track. They actually, physically move and track the ISF so that the school contact lasts as long as possible. So if you were able to get the UHF frequency, sometimes they list that, by the way, and sometimes they like to keep it confidential. But if you had it and you were within range, or somewhere in that path of their Yagi, well, then you would be able to hear both halves of the conversation. But yeah, normally we just, on 145-800, we only hear the International Space Station astronauts when they ask the questions, or excuse me, when they answer the questions. All right, very good. Thanks again, Tom, for the report, and thank you, Jim, for the report. Anybody else got anything on the ISS?
This is IAPPS. I recorded a little bit of it if you want to hear it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, let's hear it. NAPPS. Go ahead. We'll stand by.
Okay, let me get it tuned up here. Hopefully you can copy this.
Come together. That is really the most awe-inspiring experience up here. Over. I encourage you to focus on things in high school. Work on everything. I mean, you're getting a broad introduction, and then when you go to college, major in something you'll be able to be interested in. Because we have astronauts who are almost everything. We have medical doctors, engineering physicists, we have engineers of all different types.
And there it fades out. Hopefully you can copy that. That ain't PPS.
All right, fine business, NATPS. Very good, Rick. Yeah, I could understand a lot of what he said there. Matter of fact, part of it was pretty strong there, other than, when you do it through the recording, a lot of times the audio is a little hard to copy or understand. But I could hear a lot of what he said, and pretty cool. And that's an interesting thing what we learned here this morning. I think a good takeaway is if you want to play a record, if you want to play some audio back from those ISS passes, to do it live is tricky. That's what Tom was doing because, number one, you got to get the timing down, and the other issue you run into is you're keying up a radio, and it's probably physically close to the radio you're listening on the ISS with, and a lot of times it'll swap the receiver on the radio you're listening to the ISS with, and then you don't hear anything. And that may not have been the case for Tom, but I bet it was. So yeah, a little audio recorder, record it, and then play it back here on the repeater. That's probably the best way to do it. Anyway, fine business. Thank you, Rick, and again, thanks to all three of you guys, Jim, Tom, and Rick. Anybody else got anything on the ISS?
K8, YUG, Josh at Avon Lakes. I ran outside. I recorded over 3 good minutes of it, talking about spacewalks and the food they eat and the views and everything. So I do have an audio file of it, and it's actually 3 minutes of the astronauts talking. I hit pause when the students were talking because it was just noise. But I got it, real good signal, just with my little handheld outside there. I just want to let everybody know I'm pretty excited. Yeah, it's K8YUG, back to net.
Go get him, Josh. All right. That's awesome.
Oh, fine business, Josh. Yeah, how cool is that, right? That's really nice that you were able to do that. A lot of people don't realize that. Just with a little handheld portable, you can listen to the space station. It is really an amazing thing, even though the ISS is about 200 miles up away from us, altitude-wise, because there's nothing in the way. Ohio Information and Traffic Net. Anybody else got anything on that?
Comment, Jeff. Whiskey, Eagle Hill.
Yeah, Gary, go ahead.
Yeah, I was able to copy the International Space Station and its whole cycle across there until it faded away with a full thing and a rubber duck. How's that for receive antenna? Back to you, Jeff. WWED.
Well, that's pretty darn good, Gary. Don't get much better than that. Yeah, you know, I didn't think the pass was going to be that, the footprint was going to be that good in our area, but where you're at there, and I think you're over maybe near the Cleveland area, I think, maybe west of Cleveland. Man, that's great. Sounds like you got most, if not all, of the contact there on a rubber duck with a bullpenny radio. That's hard to believe. So did you get the whole thing? I mean, did you hear the whole conversation? Or, well, I mean, I know you only hear one half, but I mean, did you hear the whole pass? Back to you.
Well, he's probably already started before I tuned him in. But I don't know exactly when he came on. I think he said it was 11:24. I didn't tune in until like 11:26, and I was able to copy it until it faded away. Back to you, Jeff. WWE.
You're in fine business. Very cool, man. There we have a whole handful of people that were able to hear the International Space Station using a handheld radio. Can you believe it? Good job, you guys, and thank you all very much for all your reports and Rick for the recording. All very cool. Nice to hear some folks here get to experience that first time, and pretty neat experience for sure. Absolutely. Make sure you show your kids or your grandkids. Sometimes it's hard to wrestle them out, get their attention, and they are hard to impress nowadays. But sometimes hearing an astronaut on a portable radio is still a pretty cool thing. Anybody else?
Comment, Jeff, and thank you.
Hey, QQY, go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, a while back I was listening to them, and they was talking about when they talked to Sam. They have a little free time. Their time starts at 4 o'clock in the morning. Their day shift ends around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. They have a little free time in the morning, and just before they go to bed. And that's our time, 4 o'clock a.m. our time, and 2 o'clock p.m. our time. They have a few minutes, and if they get on there, that's a good time to catch them.
All right. Hey, good comment, Jim there. Very good comment. So, you know, and guys in Ohio have done it just not that very long ago. Matter of fact, they had an article in the Ohio Section News, some of the hands in Ohio that actually made contact and were able to speak directly with the astronauts. And so, Jim had mentioned the good times to do it would be, you know, early in the morning, 4 a.m., South America, you would, the voice uplink frequency, here's what you want to transmit on. It's 144.49. 144.49, that's what you would transmit on. Now you would listen. You'll listen again on, make sure I'm looking at this right, because this gets a little bit confusing. You'll listen on 145.800. So again, the astronauts will be talking on 145.800. That's what you'll listen on. Just like we listen to the schools here on 145.800. That's what they transmit on. But you need to be transmitting on 144.49. So it's not a band split between VHF and UHF, but it is a wide frequency split. So there you go. Just set your radio up for a channel that has receive 145.800 and transmit 144.49. And then if you do like Jim said, and you listen at the early hour, like 4 a.m., if you want to do that, you got to listen for them when if they're going overhead at that time. You got to check the schedule. And if they put a call out, or you can even try calling for them, you might be surprised. That's what you'd have to do. So again, program a channel. So you got 145.800 for receive and 144.49 for transmit, and that way you're working them on the frequency they work on, as opposed to trying to work them through the crossband FM repeater. That gets pretty congested. However, it is possible to do it. All right, Jim, anything else?
Yeah, that kid with the fix for me. It scans, and it wakes me up if they get them in the area. So I do hear them at 4 o'clock in the morning once in a while.
Jim, you're a diehard International Space Station person. Yeah, that Kenwood works out really nice with those channels in there like that, and then the ability to scan. Yeah, it's been a while. I used to do that too. I just turn it on, leave it on in the room, and hear them going overhead at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, or whatever. Yeah, it's pretty cool. There's no doubt about that. Of course, I don't know. If the wife's around, a lot of times she doesn't care for it too much, but us guys do, and maybe some female hands there too. We don't want to leave them out. All right, get myself into trouble. Anybody else? All right, a lot of good information there. Thank you again, all you guys that chimed in here on the school contact. You guys are now armed with the frequencies to make an actual contact with an astronaut. So I gave them to you, and again, maybe we'll repeat them next Wednesday also for anybody that might not have got that information. And good luck to anybody that works an astronaut. Be sure to let us know here. We would really, really like to know that.
Send me a link where you get the school information, Jeff, and they keep you on.
We'd like a signal report call now.
Send me a link where you get the school information and they keep you on.
I'll do that, Jim. Not a problem. I'll send you the link there to the information on the school contacts. Very good. NAQQI, WDREI. Anybody else? All right, so you got 2 other good school contacts coming up. We gave them earlier. Hopefully y'all got a chance to jot them down, and you can be listening again. See how well you can copy them. Tell your friends or grandkids or your own kids, and maybe they'll listen there too. It might just spark a little interest in amateur radio just via these ISS contacts. All right, we're going to get in. It's 11:51. We're going to look at our schematic on our Kenwood TS50 HF power amp. Get it up in front of you. We're going to talk here in just a moment. Before we do, I'm just going to cover a couple other little things. Just wanted to mention again the W1AW-8 activation for the American section, that's us guys, right, is going to run from August 30th to September 5th. Now, if you would like to operate W1AW Stroke 8, there's a schedule that's been set up, and there's some things that you have to do, but nothing real big. You can go to this webpage for the complete document on what you need to do. It's tiny.cc stroke W1AW, the number 8, hyphen info. Or you can just go to page 11 of the Ohio Section News and you'll catch all the links there on what you need to know to operate as W1AW Stroke 8 and have a lot of fun doing it and represent the great Ohio section. And of course, don't forget the Ohio QSO party's coming up this Saturday. Runs from noon until midnight. It is a blast. Definitely go out and check out the Ohio QSO webpage. Just Google Ohio QSO party. Check up all the rules and what you got to do to fill out your log sheets, all that kind of stuff. It just makes it funner if you understand how the contest is ran. And you are the main objective. Everybody in Ohio is the main objective, so it makes it a lot of fun. If you've never operated an amateur radio contest before, you got to try this one. And you don't need a big station. Just your little HF radio with whatever you got for your antennas. Get on the air. Again, it runs from noon to midnight. And your exchange would be your section, or not section, but your county, and your readability signal strength report, your RS or RFT report. And again, it's sideband and CW on the 8 major HF bands. Check out the rules. Google Ohio QSO Party to find out all about it. Definitely get on the air and operate at least a little bit. You might find that you might be a real contester at heart. You just never knew it. On the DX side here, wanted to mention what I thought was a pretty cool DXpedition, and that's Northern Cook Islands. So the next stop for the for the ship magnet and the rig in a box setup will be Penrhine Atoll from August 19th to September 10th. Now they're going to be signing Echo 51 Delta. That's Northern Cook Islands, Echo 51 Delta. That's the call sign they're going to be using. On 160 meters through 6 meters on CW, single sideband, and FT8. The local team will include Tomas, that's Hotel Alpha 7 Romeo Yankee, Michael, Kilo November 4 Echo Echo India, Gabby, Hotel Alpha 5 Yankee Golf, and George Alpha Alpha 7 Juliet Victor. Now they're going to be using multiple RIBs and will have remote operators from all around the globe. Despite not being the optimum time of the year, they will be active on top band or 160 meters. It's pretty interesting, that particular expedition, if I understand that right. RIBs being remote interface bases, I believe. So they've got remote operators from all over the world that will be controlling these radios that have been remoted to the Northern Cook Islands. So that's interesting. I'll have to dig into that and learn a little bit more about that. But be listening for them. I've already seen them spotted on the DX Packet Network. Echo 51 Delta, Northern Cook Islands. Interesting. Check them out. Work them. Let us know if you get them. Let's get over here and take a look at, boy, I had a lot of other stuff on it. Really cool stuff, but we'll save that for next week. That'll make it easy for me. All right, let's get our schematics out. WDAREI. This is the North Central Ohio Information and Traffic Net. Now, by now, hopefully, if you wanted to follow along or mount for us, you got your Kenwood TS450 service manual. You Googled it. You got the service manual maybe in a PDF format. And you're looking at the schematic for the HF power amp. Nice, because in the service manual that they on the same page as the schematic, they have a pictorial of the printed circuit, the top of the printed circuit, which is kind of nice. that you want to question or discuss or talk about, that'll get you 1 point. And again, at the end of the event here, why we got, let's see, I think we got today and then next Wednesday, then we'll total up the points. Who's ever got 4 points will win the lotto card. So that's kind of how we do that. And we don't have, and we break ties. If we've got a tie, we break ties. All right, that being said, who would like to get on the list called out? Jeff, KE8PX. EPX, Ron, I got you. Anybody else? Everybody just a minute here to kind of look it up and get it in front of them if they'd like. It's fun, and you get to practice your skills at identifying schematic symbols, something that we all had to learn at one time or another when we took our amateur radio test. So again, Google Kenwood TS450 service manual, and there's a lot of links to them. So when you find one you like, locate the schematic for the HF power amp, and we'll give everybody about a minute here. WB8REI. Hey Jeff, KE8PX. Well, Ron.
Here. Oh, come here.
What's the matter with Jay?
Yeah, you got it. That is correct. On the diagram, it actually says final unit. You got it. That's the right schematic. Roger. Oh, I just want to make sure it's in the right neighborhood. Stand by. Thanks for pointing that out too, Ron. Sometimes I call it by the wrong name, and then that probably makes it difficult for people to find it there. Yep. HF final unit, 100 watt. There is another PA on the 6 meter. You get the 6 meter option in the radio, while there's a separate board for the 6 meter band. But we're going to be looking at the one for the HF part of the radio, and it's 100 watt final unit. Let's go to Ron here and see what Ron's got for us. And while we're talking with Ron, why maybe somebody else might want to take a look there, point something out. It can be real simple, not complicated. KE8PX, Ron, what do you got for us? I was just looking at, this is KE8PX, I was looking at the final amps, the Q4 and Q5. Looks like a company bitter to ground. Yeah, it's very, very simple output stage. There's not a whole lot there. Now, in this particular radio, just looking at the final unit schematic, which is what we're looking at right now, it's pretty simplistic, pretty straightforward. Part of the reason for that is because a lot of the other circuitry, for example, low pass filter, the automatic antenna tuning unit, all the forward and reverse voltage sensing and all that, those things are done on different boards in this particular radio. And it's interesting because sometimes, depending on the radio, they may have designed the radio with those different functions all on the same board. But this particular radio, TS450, it doesn't have the low pass filters and all that on this board. It's pretty straightforward, like you said, Ron. There's not a whole lot of stuff going on there, but there are a few things. And so that's the reason for the simplicity, I believe. Back to you. Well, I've always been a Kenwood fan. Just look at how they operate.
of temperature compensation throughout, and I'm not sure all these boxes that say temperature compensation on here is what are they trying to describe? Are they trying to describe the bias circuits? I see the bias drive Q6 has a temperature compensation dialog box there. What in the world's that all about?
Okay, wow, good question. Really good question. Okay, so here's the deal, and this brought up a good point. I see those boxes. There's one, two, I see three of them that say temperature compensation spread out here across the schematic diagram. So what they're talking about there is, and I'm going to talk in a basic format here, a basic explanation, without getting into a whole lot of detail. So one of the things that you have to do in a push-pull, I think this is a push-pull class AB power amp, is you have to set up what's called the idling current. In other words, when the radio's PA's keyed up and you're not talking to the microphone or you're not generating any power from your audio, you want to set the idling current of the power amp. And so you do that, you see there's some bias drive and bias final adjustments to do that, and they basically set the voltage to the bases of those various stages. But what happens is, as the components, especially the transistors themselves, and they begin to heat up, they get hot, the characteristics of the transistor begin to change. The gain of the transistor begins to change, and things start changing. And you don't want that, because when you align this, when you set this amp up, one of the alignment procedures is to set the idling current. I think it's 250 milliamps for the driver, and then another 250 milliamps for the amp, or the final amplifier. And what will happen is, as those components heat up, the characteristics start to change, so all of a sudden the idling current's going to start to change. The gain of that first preamp, Q1, will start to change, and you don't want that. So what they do is they use these temperature compensation circuits. And if you look carefully, you'll see that in each one of those three temperature compensation circuits, there's a diode. There's diode 1, which, by the way, is associated with the first pre-driver amp, Q1. And if you were to look at the pictorial, which is just to the left of the schematic diagram, and you locate Q1, the transistor, which is the pre-driver, see diode D1 is soldered physically right across it. And that's done so that diode is actually the temperature sensing component that senses the temperature of that transistor. As it begins to heat up, that diode begins to conduct differently. And as it conducts more or less, the voltage drop across one of those resistors changes, and that in turn changes the drive, the bias to the stage. So what it's doing is it's adjusting the bias to each of these stages based on the temperature as they begin to heat up. As a diode over one component. So that's kind of the story on the temperature compensation. Back to you.
Boy, I like the way they have it laid out here in the pictorial. You can just physically see D1 and D2 going right across probably, I don't know if it's the top of the circuit board or right, it looks like it's going right across the transistors. And what a simple way to operate. They have those diodes doing the compensation for them as the unit heats up. That's amazing. That's amazing. And thanks for pointing that out, Jeff. I would have never seen that.
Very good, Ron. Yeah, you know, what's interesting there, like, if you're looking at the pictorial, if you wanted to remove, say, Q1, that's the pre-drive amp, just an NPN transistor, and you probably noticed already in the picture, you can see it's just a three-terminal type of transistor. It's got the tab on the top for the heat sink. You would have to literally remove the diode first, D1. You'd have to remove that in order to suck the solder out of the three terminals on Q1 in order to remove Q1. That would be the same for Q2. You would have to remove diode D2 because it's physically laying right on the top of that transistor. And they make physical contact so that they can sense the temperature of the transistor itself. So, yeah, it's a pretty elaborate, I mean, the way that the temperature compensation stuff, it's important in a in a power amp, because, again, when you first align the amplifier for its idling current, by the way, that's done using VR1 and VR2. You'll see those two, they're POTS, potentiometers. Everybody remembers the schematic diagram for a potentiometer. And so you set that idling current, hopefully close to room temperature, and then that's idling at that. But once things start to get hot, then the characteristics change. That's where these compensation diodes kick in, and then they adjust that bias voltage to keep everything linear, straight, proper. Otherwise, they'll go way off in their gain characteristics. So that's the story on that. What else, Ron? You got anything else?
Okay, well, I was just looking at, and I just now found the VR1 off the base of that bias drive Q6. Yeah, this is really, really interesting, and like I said, it's very, very simple to see and understand once it's explained, and having the pictorial there is very beneficial. Helps you actually physically locate these components. Yeah, it's very, very interesting looking at this circuit. I don't know what the IC 1, 2, and 3
7.8 volts. And so it's interesting because these voltage regulators are physically located on this HFPA board. However, they supply these regulated voltages for other boards in the radio. So if you, for example, and it tells you if you follow the pins from the voltage regulator, one goes to the digital -7 board, the other one goes to a carrier -6 board, another one goes to the IF board. And so if you didn't have voltage on those boards, 5 volts or 8 volts, you're probably going to come back to this PA board and check and see if it's there, because that's where it originates. So it's kind of weird. These voltage regulators, best I can tell, looking here real quick, they actually don't even provide any regulated voltages for the power amp itself. But that's where they located them at. They actually provide those regulated voltages for other boards in the radio. Back to you.
Well, my phone's a little slow. I'm looking up the actual data sheet for that component, and it's a PDF download. But anyway, yeah, that simplifies it. Voltage regulators and your 8 volt, 5 volt. It's which I see at that pin or output that CAR-6 or whatever has your 5 volt, 8 volt and ground. It's all right there. So yeah, and the data sheet just came up. But it doesn't say exactly what it is. The 7808. Yeah, it's 8 volt. And yeah, 8 volt for the 7808, 5 volt for the 7805. Yep, kind of simplifies it.
Right, very good, Ron. It's nice to be able to just look up a spec sheet like that and you get even more information. Yeah, pretty basic, right? Just a 3-terminal device, input, output, and chassis ground. You put 13.8 volts in on one side, and it gives you regulated 8 volts or 5 volts on the output. And again, it gets piped to other boards in the radio. So, yeah, you'd have to follow your schematic if you were looking at the carrier board. You went, man, I don't have any 8 volts on my carrier board, or no 5 volts. Well, you'd have to come back and look here at these regulators back here on the PA board. So, yeah, fine business. I was going to mention, too, I just wanted to comment, earlier you made a comment about how useful and helpful the pictorial was in identifying these temperature compensation diodes and how they're used in the circuit. And what's important to point out, and I think this is what you were pointing out, is the fact that when you just look at a schematic diagram, you don't see that. In other words, you see the diodes and how they're in the circuit, and you see the transistors and how they are in the circuit, but you do not see the physical layout. And the pictorial gives you that physical layout, and it allows you to see, the diode is in physical contact, literally right across the transistor, in order to sense its temperature. And you don't get that from the schematic. You would only get that by looking at the picture of the printed circuit board. So, very useful. Pictorials are very, very helpful.
That was my point, was that you could actually see, because I didn't know where that diode is located until you pointed out, looking at the pictorial, and see that it's laying right on top of those transistors, and it's a physical connection to sense the heat. It's been fun, Jeff. Thanks a lot. KE8PX.
Well, thank you at it because it is an opportunity. You don't get this to go on very often where you get guys like Ron on here and we all get on here and kind of share experiences and some information and knowledge on reading schematics. So it's a good opportunity to brush up on that. So by all means, if you get a chance, always get the schematic in front of you and just follow along, and you'll get some good practice in reading those diagrams. All right, now for next week, and next week will be the last week. That's when we'll total up the score here. And I think right now Ron's in the lead with 1 point, and Jim is right behind him. What I wanted to mention is we're going to talk about the HF Power Amp again next week, and we'll talk about anything you want to talk about on that PA. One of the parts, there's a nice, interesting part called IC1, and it says fan, and we can talk about that too. Some interesting things go on in that circuitry. So again, have these schematics in front of you again next week. It'll be the final week, and we'll have some fun doing that. Now, while we're talking about temperature, I just thought this was appropriate. While we were talking about temperature, I wanted to bring up a cool little device. Some of you may have seen these before, and maybe some of you it's brand new. But they have these, nowadays the new radios. If you want to see the actual temperature of the, say, a final transistor or final stage or whatever, a lot of times you can, your radio has a menu setting or something that allows you to look at it. It's interesting, especially, when you're transmitting, because your radio gets hot, and the longer you talk, the hotter it gets, and depending on what the ambient temperature outside is. And, a lot of times, some of the radios might not have that capability where you can see the temperature, or you might just want to know all the time what the temperature is without having to punch up a bunch of different menu settings. Well, you can purchase, they're called DigiSense reversible 7-point horizontal temperature labels. I know that's a long worded thing there, but really all it is, it's a label you just stick it on your radio, like on the heat sink or whatever you want to sense, temperature-wise, and it has seven different ranges. I think they're like 9 degrees apart. It goes from 86 degrees Fahrenheit to 140 degrees Fahrenheit, and it also measures in centigrade. And you just stick it on there, and as your radio heats up, those little LEDs turn to red. It's black, and these little arrows turn red with each jump in temperature, and they're pretty darn accurate. Now you won't get, you can't get real 1 degree resolution because it only shows you differences of about 8 or 9 degrees each time it jumps that much. But if you're interested, you can go to Amazon and you can Google it. You can look for it. It's called DigiSense Reversible. That's important, by the way, reversible, because some places they make these labels and they're only used for one time. Once you use them, once they get hot one time, they record the temperature and then they don't operate anymore. So you want to make sure you get the one that says reversible. 7-point means it's got 7 different temperature readings. It's horizontal. The label is black with white lettering for the degrees, and it reads in Celsius and Fahrenheit, and then the little arrows turn red as the temperature gets hotter. So this particular one I'm looking at reads from 30 to 60 degrees centigrade or 86 to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. It comes with 10 to a pack. And they're $29.26 for 10 in a pack, if I'm reading that correctly. Again, just check out Amazon. You can read up more about it. I've never seen these before, and I think it's really neat. Some people use them to measure the temperature of the barrel of a gun. You just stick one of these labels on the barrel of a gun if you want to see how hot it gets, and you fire it so many times and you can read that temperature. Or maybe you want to know the temperature of the hot water pipe, or something along that line. So, again, they're pretty neat. Stick them on your radio, see how hot your radio gets, and sometimes that's a good thing to know. All right, before we close, anybody with any comments, queries, anything you want to announce, anything for the good of the net, call now. All right, everybody's tired, ready to go eat lunch. All right, remember you guys, keep it. Man, if you missed the 2-meter opening yesterday morning, you missed a band opening for real. So, the way the tropospheric ducting map's been looking, keep your ears open on 2 meters and 440 and be listening. WDPIC up in Sylvania, Bob, he monitors things pretty carefully, and you might want to check it out too. It's a lot of fun, super interesting, and when we get these temperature inversions like we've been having, chances of that band coming open real quick can happen, and it's pretty neat, man. I mean, you're talking to people in South Carolina and Wisconsin on 2 meters. So keep your ears and eyes open for that. And also the Ohio QSO Party this Saturday starting at noon. Make sure you Google Ohio QSO Party, check out the rules. By the way, there's also a couple other QSO parties going on. Hawaii's got a QSO party going on. And, there was one other one in there. I forget which state. So, if you want to try to work a couple different ones, you can do that too and have a lot of fun. All right. I think we covered everything. Don't forget, next week we'll cover the HF power amp again on the Kenwood TS 450, and we'll have a lot of fun doing it. Get on the radio, operate, have some fun. And good luck to all you guys who are going to try to work the astronauts too on the International Space Station. Thank you everybody for your participation. Thank you to Ron. Thank you to Jim. Who else? Thank you to Pat. Let's see, we didn't have Bob or Dan here this morning, but thanks to those guys because they always give us good information. And thanks to Lenny for putting the YouTube information up there. Make sure you go listen, check your signal out. That's a really nice thing he's got set up there. So definitely take a look at N8XLQ's YouTube page there and check out the latest edition here of the North Central Ohio Information and Traffic Net. All right, with that, we'll close this section of the net. Everybody back here again next Wednesday at 10:15. Have a great week, you guys. WDREI and the net are now clear. 73.
Have a good week, Jeff. Go get you something to eat. And thank you. Goodbye.
Hey, same to you, Jim. Hey, thanks for copying that space station there this morning, too. Very cool. Enjoy your lunch. Catch you next week. WDREI.
Yeah, the astronauts was loud and clear, but they just started cutting out on me.
Yeah, we're a little more, well, let's see. We're a little more northwest than Gary. Gary was more to the east. He was probably maybe a little bit longer in the better part of the footprint. Possibly. And there's a whole bunch of other variables there, too. Nonetheless, you got to hear him. That was the main thing. Good job. Thank you for the report. Talk to you later, Joe. WBAREI.
And thank you.
Good.
N8XLQ, Lenny, drop in the YouTube link.
All right, gang. See you next week. N8XLQ. Clear. I'm not clear. Foggy. No coffee. Bye.